Hello guys, today I wanted to share with you my experiences using the Cobalt image color profiles for your camera as well as some presets, and just provide you some samples and quick edits of using one of their presets, and then see if something you would like to add to your own tools. So let's do this. So first of all, I want to clarify that I have no affiliation with Cobalt Image. They are a developer of color profiles and different film emulations and presets for your cameras. I have no affiliate link. I have no discount codes. This is a product that I tested and I liked. So I decided to make a video to share with you my findings and provide some samples, and hopefully you will figure out if you can use it or not on your tools. So if we go to Lightroom, when you import a file in Lightroom, this is a raw file for the Canon R5. You will have an option here on the profiles. And normally it's default to Adobe Color, which is the one that you're looking at here. But you can also select your camera standard. Now this is the Adobe profile for your camera standard, which to me is awful here. It looks terrible. But you have also the camera neutral and so on. Here you will see your Cobalt if you buy this. For example, I can use the Cobalt Standard. And just to give you a rundown of what the profiles are, so we can get this out of the way at the beginning. The standard is standard profile, suitable for most situations, and especially for portraits, as it has, according to the website, it has a specific color correction for skin tones. And then you have your neutral, which is similar to standard, but it doesn't have the skin color correction. Sorry, this is a raw neutral. This is a neutral. So you can go from the standard to neutral, and just the skin correction is gone, as per the documentation that came with the profiles. And you have the flat profile, which is right here. So this is a very soft contrast, and it's great for studio photos, at least that's what it says in the documents. And one that I like a lot is the the reproduction or repro profile. I like this because in an instance where I may have clip highlights, or there's so many areas that are blown out, like this one, for example. This was during my Canon R5 versus A7R IV comparison, so I was rushing through all things, and lighting wasn't very carefully placed, and sometimes you will get some areas that are overexposed. And I like that I'm able to bring this down with this one and then tweak from there. So my idea with profiles is finding profiles that give me a really good base. This is how I like to work my raw files, is having a very good base, but it's like very untweaked, let's say, by the JPEG engine or your raw file converter. Something very flat that I can use and then build from there. And that gives me the more control over my image and my final results. Now, this is not the best way for a quick turnaround. So if you need a quick turnaround, you will want something more like a preset, or make your own preset after applying a color profile, for example. So those are different options. So let's move on to Photoshop, where I already transferred some of the files, and I'm going to give you some information here. So this is the camera JPEG, the way it comes out directly from the R5. This is the Adobe Lightroom profile. So you can see from here to here. And as always, you will have a link to download all these files so you can check them out on your end and pick the ones that you like. I can tell you that the hair color is more like here. So this one is definitely giving here a different hair color. This is the Cobalt Standard. So it's similar to the Adobe in a way, but you can see that you seem to get more of the different hues and details on the suit there. I know it looks oversaturated here, but it's also kind of like lost. And from my understanding of this is that Adobe Standard kind of makes us like this single red area to work with. There's a lot of like hues and in the different reds, so you might end up losing some of the different more subtle hues of the colors versus what we are getting from something like Cobalt profiles, which they're gold. Again, this is all the information I got from them, was to get a very close color reproduction, more accurate colors. And for me, that's great because that's the type of base that I want to work from. Here we got the Cobalt flat. So again, this is a standard. This is your flat, which it was supposed to be good for portraits in studio. And this is the repro. So I'm going to be using this Cobalt profile, which is the repro, same as here, except this is the raw file, not the JPEG that I saved earlier. And I'm just going to be doing a very quick post-processing on it, just to give you an idea how it will turn out from the repro profile to a final image. It's not going to be very detailed. It's going to be more, basically I'm going to be doing everything from the raw converter. So let's go to the camera raw filter. First thing I will do with this one is probably crank the saturation. And for that, I actually just like to go here to the blue primary and just crank this up. Let's go all the way. We can tweak it later if we need to, which probably will. And then just work with the exposure. So let's bring this down a little bit. About there, just to see how things are looking. Let's bring the highlights up. I like to use the highlights up in order to kind of compress the skin tones, and it almost gives it like a smoothing without having to do any extra skin fixes, which I will do on a finishing product, but this is just within raw converter. See what we can get. So I like that there. Let's bring this down a bit. And actually, I like where it is. Bring this up really quick. About 90s or so, maybe there. Let's see how this is looking. Okay. Shadows. Let's open the shadows. And the reason I'm opening this up is because what I'm going to be doing next, which I probably should do the other way around, make more sense, and you will see why. But I do it so often that I cannot know what look I need in order to get me the final look that I want. Okay, so let's see, about 50 or so. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. So what I like to do is the radial tool here, just position over there. And you press the Y, you can get an idea where the masking is, and that's about what I like it to be. Okay, and now with this, I'm going to adjust the background. So this is on the invert because it's gonna be affecting not her face, but the rest of the image. So let's go and drop this down, probably almost a stop or so. Yeah, a bit more. Somewhere between the stop and let's do it there since it looks good to me for now. Let's crank up the contrast a little bit, probably 15, 20. Yeah, 20 should be good. Yep, that sounds good. And then let's open the shadows a bit. Actually, just bring down the blacks first and see where we are. Because I want to create a bit more drama. This is just one tweak, doesn't mean that I will edit this like this all the time. I decided to go a bit more dramatic here. And now I can open the shadows, maybe like 40 or so. A bit more, a bit less. Okay, so it might be a bit too much in the drama department. So if it is, you can always just tweak this up a little bit higher just to make it blend better. Let's go back here. I think I don't want to change anything. So yeah, maybe drop the color a tiny bit. Okay, so this is a very quick edit, but just to give you an idea how it will look like. So this is a repro, the way it was after the conversion. And this is a quick edit using just the raw file, the raw converter, I'm sorry. So I didn't do anything to the skin yet. It was just, as you saw, raw converting, which I think it's a pretty good base. I mean, if we can do this so quickly, and you can see how the skin looks very beautiful, the transitions, the highlights to the shadows. Of course, there's some cleaning I can do and things that I can fix because this is not a final edit. But from here, just basically from going into the raw converter after applying the profile, I think it's a great way to begin your post processing, and you should speed things up quite a bit. Doesn't mean that this is how or everybody needs to work. You might have a different way of doing things, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm just showing you and sharing what I find using these preset or color profiles. So let's move to the next example. So in this next sample, I wanted to show you one of the other reasons I wanted to test these color profiles, and it was color matching for different cameras. As you may remember from my previous Canon review, I plan to get the R5 eventually. So one of the things I was considering is how to better color match my Canon R5 to my Sony cameras. And in that case, I find that this is actually pretty good. For example, if we go to this is the Canon R5, this is the camera JPEG, and this is the Sony A7R IV with their Canon EOS R from Cobalt. Now keep in mind that the Canon EOS R and the R5 are not the same camera, of course, so it's not exact color preset match. Also, there's also the difference of the lens used. Different lenses may have different color casts and things like that. But overall, switching back and forth, I think this is a pretty good matching between the two cameras just using this. Now, this is one approach. This is just trying to match the output from the Canon by default. The better approach, in my opinion, at least for my work, would be using the same Cobalt Standard profile for both. Now, I don't have the profiles for the A9 and the Canon R6. I only have it for the R5 and the A7R IV because I wasn't going to buy profiles for every camera that I may have, or cameras that I plan to sell, for example, in the case of the A9 maybe. So I just bought it for the A7R IV and the R5, which is the one that I plan to buy. But I was able to get these samples from the company. They did the conversion for me and sent me the output. So this is the A9 with the Cobalt Standard profile, and this is the Canon R6 with the Cobalt Standard profile. Slight difference in the white balance and the type of lens used, but I think this is a really, really good output. So this is another feature and option that I like about it. It's just being able to color match different cameras and make things a lot smoother when trying to, finish a photo shoot. If you use two different cameras for any reason, like in my case, I want to have a different camera just to expand my options when it comes to also viewers and my YouTube videos. I can do Canon and Sony, so that way I don't have to sacrifice or go into problems trying to match my output when I'm doing a job. I can easily match the output like this. And just for your reference, there's a couple of more conversions here. This is the A9. This is the Leica Mono CCD Green, which is, I think is a product that I'm working on. It's not out yet, but I like a lot how this profile makes things look. This is the Canon Jpeg. So this is just the Canon Jpeg completely, not any profile. It's just a camera JPEG. And this is the A9 with the Canon 1DS3 portrait profile or preset. So this is applying presets to your Sony to make it look like a different camera. This is applying the D200 preset from CCD from Nikon. I like that profile. It looks really good on this photo. This is a GFX green, and this is a classic chrome from GFX 100 and the GFX 100 again here. So anyway, this is the Pro Neg standard. So I really like what it's showing here for the Nikon D200 as a quick turnaround preset. I like a lot how this looks. But I normally don't work like this. I normally just work from the raw files and build up from there. But if you want a nice preset, I think that's definitely a nice one to keep in mind. So let's check more examples. So this sample is from a A7R III, and it's a 2 or 3 years old photo. And this is once where I was playing with creative backgrounds and I wasn't able to get the color that I wanted because either I would lose the color saturation or things will be clipping on the color channels, and learning experience back then. But I wanted to see what I could do with this. So I contacted the company and asked them if they could convert these files with the different presets so that I can try to tweak them. Of course, I'm tweaking from a JPEG, so it's not the same. But I just wanted to get an idea. And again, I didn't want to buy profiles for cameras I don't have anymore, so at least they were nice enough to do the conversions for me. So this is the camera JPEG. This is how it turned out from the A7R III. This is a preset for the Fuji camera, and you can see it on the top here. And this is a Kodak Porter Pro 400. This is the portrait linear. This is a Cobalt portrait linear profile. So already I can see that I'm getting a lot more to work with in terms of clipping and things like that, even though it looks a bit different. But now repro is usually the ones that I like to work with. And I did a quick edit from the repro again using the raw file, raw converter feature. So this is what I got really quick. Similar to what I did with the previous photo where I did the whole step by step of how I was doing the post. This is what I did here. So this is a repro and this is how it looks. And this is from the camera Jpeg. So for a very quick edit, obviously you can see just one step edit on is not bad at all, I think. So I definitely can see being able to rescue a lot of those photos, especially if I was working from a RAW file instead of a JPEG, and get much better results than I could at the time that I took them. So obviously, if you're more careful with, sometimes you can get definitely better results than what I did that day if I have done it with my knowledge of lighting today versus 2 or 3 years ago. But at the same time, sometimes you don't have the flexibility of fixing everything in there when you're doing the photos for X or Y reason. So having a preset that is able to give you this solid base where you can actually extract more from the photo, it's great in my opinion. So here's the Cobalt Standard. And here we go. This is a 1DS3 portrait emulation. GFX 100. This is like a monochrome CCD, the one that they're working on. It's not out yet, but I'm very interested in getting this one when it comes out. So I'm definitely going to buy that one. And this is a linear portrait curve. And the Nikon D200, which I liked a lot on the previous photo. It looks really nice in this one too. And this is the Adobe Standard. And once again, you'll be able to download all these files, check them out in your own computers and decide whether you like them or not. I'm just providing some of the samples and ideas of what I was able to get with them. Even from a JPEG, this is not bad from a JPEG conversion. From the JPEG files to be able to edit and get this in a simple step, basically in the raw converter. So here's another example of the same creative backdrops photo shoot. This is the Adobe Standard preset. This is the Cobalt Portrait linear. So this is a linear one. This is another Cobalt. This is the Cobalt Standard, which is the one that you will use most of the time probably. Well, depending on your work for portraits, for example. And this is the Repro, which I like for when I want to deal with stuff where I didn't do a very good job or trying to get more details out of highlights and things like that. And this is a quick edit of that Repro profile. So again, for a quick edit from a JPEG file, it's not so bad. Sure, I have things here that I could do better and whatnot, but overall, I really like what I was able to get out of a JPEG using that Repro profile, and definitely a lot better when I did my original post-processing on this photo. So, and I wanted to show you this samples from their own website because I found it very interesting. And this is just similar to what I was trying to do on those creative backdrops, recovering detail and hues and from the color, more subtle hues that you might be losing. This is an Adobe color profile, and this is with the Cobalt neutral. So you can see how much more nuances of the color transitions you can get by going with their neutral profile and then editing from there. So I find this example very interesting. There's quite a few more like this one. I like this one too. See how everything looks here. And then when you go to the Cobalt neutral, you recover a lot more information and detail that it becomes kind of like a solid color here. So just one thing, I think you can go to the website and there's quite a few samples and more information, a lot of information that is way over my head. But if you're very knowledgeable about color science, then you have a kick out of it. For me, I just like to go and check the results that I get in real life, and it works for me. But I thought it was a good example of what the differences are between a regular profile like the Lightroom Adobe one versus a Cobalt neutral profile. So let's check a few more examples of my own photos. So here we have an example of my outdoor photo shoot with the Canon R5 and the A7R IV. And this is the Sony A7R IV. This is the camera Jpeg result. This is with the 135 GM lens. This is the camera Jpeg. This is from the Capture One conversion. You can see how it looks from the camera Jpeg to Capture One. Next is the A7R IV with a Nikon Z7 preset from Cobalt. So I like what I see here with the Z7 because her hair is looking actually how it looks in real life. It's not this tint of color, it's this kind of color. So this is giving me a pretty accurate rendition of what she looks like. This is the portrait one, and this is the standard Z7 Nikon preset. So this is another preset that I'm interested in, especially for quick conversions. So not bad at all on this one. And this is the Canon, the Kodachrome Last Roll Dark. So it's more of a specialized result, I would say. If you like the film look, this might be interesting to you. It depends on the photo, of course, and the intention. And this is a JPEG from the Canon, directly from the camera. So the Sony. And this is the Canon directly from camera. And this is the Canon conversion from the RAW files, which is in their own converter. So it looks pretty much identical to the JPEG. And this will be Cobalt, the profile for the Sony, the Canon 1DX3 standard profile for Sony. And here we go, the Sony again with the Nikon D200. So comparing the Nikon D200 to the Z7, I tend to like more now the Z7 myself. So that's probably the one that I'm gonna get alongside with that Leica monochrome CCD when it comes out. And here's the Cobalt Standard. And again, I'm just quickly going by them, but you're gonna have them to download and check them all at your own pace. This is just to give you a quick rundown of how they look. And we got the 5D Mark IV, the EOS R. So you can see the differences between the 5D Mark IV and the EOS R. And it looks like the 5D Mark IV actually gives a color on the hair a bit more like the real thing. And finally, the EOS R here again. I'm not sure why I have it twice. But, oh, sorry, this one's the 5DSR and this is the EOS 4. Okay, EOS R. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, there's a lot of them. So I'm just going to put the link so you can download it from the description and check them all out. Here we have another example. This one is, again, with the camera JPEG. This is just Sony A7R IV. So this is what you will get out of the camera, which is pretty good, I think. And this is the camera standard profile for Lightroom. Not very good, in my opinion. And then we have the Capture One default. So this is the default profile for Capture One. Again, compared to the Sony output and the Capture One. And this is a color checker profile that I did for Lightroom. So color checker, standard Adobe, color checker, and the Sony camera. So it's another option. And this is the Cobalt Standard. So this is more an accurate color. And again, this is where I like to start. But just for reference, this is Adobe profile. So Adobe versus the color checker. Adobe versus the camera standard profile for within Adobe, which is horrible for me. And if you want a preset, this is the Z7 preset for the Sony. And this is the Canon 1DX3 preset. So DX3 and Z7 profiles. So these are different options that you can use if you prefer a more finished look to start with, or if you prefer a more flat look and then tweak from there. So for this example, I wanted to show you my gobo setup. This is a photo shoot that I did using this dramatic gobo configuration for my lighting. And if you would like to see more about it, I can definitely do a video showing the behind the scenes and what I'm using for this effect. But I asked them to show me how the upcoming CCD Leica monochrome profiles will look with this one. Got me really excited about the look that it's giving me, and especially like this red one. And there's a green. This is a CMOS red and CMOS regular. So just wanted to show you how these profiles are going to be looking, but I'm really looking forward to trying these ones and see how they work from my dramatic black and white photos. And again, if you would like to see the gobo setup and a behind the scenes look at how I configure this shoot, let me know and I'll do a quick video for you. Let's move to the next one. So here's the last of my examples from my own photos. This will be with the Canon Jpeg output. Pretty good. This is the Capture One default. After all, in my opinion, Capture One always adds a kind of a magenta or a soft tint to the images. And there's Adobe, their default profile for, and then this is the Adobe camera standard profile for Sony, which I always find one of the worst. Just looks everything super yellow or something. My opinion, of course. If you like it, that's fine. Just for my photos, I just normally don't go with that profile. And this is the Cobalt Standard. Very neutral, very easy to work with. And this is compared to the camera JPEG and the Cobalt Neutral. And then compared to the Capture One Standard. So you make your decision, which one you like more. I would definitely like to hear your opinion. Regarding the color matching cameras, I asked them if they had any examples that I can provide with the Canon. So they had this example. This is the Canon 5D Mark IV and the A7R III on the right side. And it looks pretty close in my opinion. Like I said earlier, you know, different white balances, different lenses are going to introduce extra variables. So it's hard to get a perfect color matching profile, but I think this will pass easily with most of your clients. So in any case, I would love to hear your opinion about the presets. Are you doing color matching yourself? Do you have multiple cameras and have been dealing with how to better match them? And share your opinion, your feedback. What are you using to color match if you are shooting hybrid, like I plan to be doing soon? If you have different products that you're testing, I would love to find out and then test them myself. I'm always looking for different tools to add to my collection and speed up my workflow. But right now, I see myself using these Cobalt profiles for a while. I like what I'm getting. I like the repro a lot, and the standard is also very good. And then I'm looking for that CCD Leica monochrome that is coming out, and probably gonna add that Z7 just to when I need more quick turnaround. And then I just wanted a few more comparisons to my own profiles before I make the call on that one. But so far, I'm very happy with what I'm getting. So, like I said, download the files from the description, check them out yourselves, let me know what you think, and then you make your decision. You know, I'm not here to tell you what to buy or what to not. This works for me. It may not work for you, or it may. So you decide. I don't have any discount codes, like I said. No affiliate links. I don't get any money from this. This is just something that I'm using myself, and I decided to make a video as my first one for 2021. Next video should be my Canon R6 to A9 comparison, which has been taking a while to post thanks to COVID, but finally it's coming out soon. So thank you for watching and see you next time.